Hi there, and welcome to Cat Scratch Kitchen. No-bake holiday perfection. Today's all about truffles, golden peppermint, rich red velvet, and classic chocolate fudge. Why pick one when we can make all three? These come together in minutes and freeze perfectly for Christmas, and they taste like magic. Are you ready? Grab your apron, a bowl, and let's get festive. We're going to start out with our white chocolate peppermint Oreo truffles. Now this one uses the Golden Oreo. It takes about 27, 28 cookies. And we're going to do all of them, get them all ready to set, and then we'll have them ready in the fridge to come back later and dip them in chocolate. Now I'm going to start with the white ones because I'm going to just keep using this processor bowl, and I want as little cleanup as possible. Now we want to go ahead and process these until they're in a crumb form. Okay, I had one little cookie that got stuck up there on the edge, so I dropped it down in there. Now you can see what I'm talking about the crumb. Okay, now, just like the typical Oreo truffles, we're going to add cream cheese to this one. I have 4 ounces of room temperature cream cheese. And now I'm going to add about 2 candy canes worth of crushed peppermint candy canes. And I'm going to just kind of roughly guess on this. That's probably about 2 candy canes worth, if not a little more. Now we're going to put our lid on our processor and give it another buzz until everything holds together, sort of a dough. Okay. You see how that went ahead and became more like a dough? Like that. It holds together. That's what we want in order to scoop it up. Okay, now I have a baking sheet and I have wax paper on here with the waxy side up. And we're just going to roll up our truffles into a nice little ball and place them on our tray. Okay, there's our peppermint ones all done. I'm going to set them aside and we'll put them in the fridge to set up for about 30 minutes or so, or in the freezer if you want, just so that they're nice and hard before we go ahead and dip them in the chocolate. We don't want them to fall apart in the chocolate. Now these I made maybe a little bit bigger than I needed to, but they're still going to be great. Okay, now we're going to do our Oreo truffles with just a little bit of a change. First of all, these are the look-alike Oreos, and they're a little bit smaller. So I went specifically by weight for these instead of by count. So it's about a 20-ounce package of Oreos, so I just did 24 ounces of these that are the look-alike Oreos. And I just wiped out my bowl with a paper towel. Now the little bit of change that we're going to do with this, instead of like the good old-fashioned Oreos using the cream cheese, we're going to use sweetened condensed milk. So we're going to go ahead and process these down to a crumb. We have our Oreos down to that same sand texture. Now we're going to add a cup of sweetened condensed milk. And now, just like the other one, we're going to process it until it forms a ball. And we're just going to go through the same process. Scoop it and roll it. Now with the evaporated milk, it's definitely a stiffer dough. In fact, you can see how as I'm rolling it, it's falling apart. I'm going to add just a little more sweetened condensed milk to it and give it another spin. It's probably another couple of tablespoons, and we'll see how that works. Yeah, that's better. This is going to make quite a few more than the peppermint ones. I can tell just by the amount of dough that's in the food processor. You see they're not falling apart now. If they look a little misshapen or anything, that's okay. When you start to put the chocolate on top, it takes care of a lot of flaws. And besides, they're homemade. They're not supposed to look perfect. Okay, now these are ready to set in the fridge, and we'll go on and work on our next ones. I'll wipe out our processor bowl and we'll be ready to go. Okay, this next one is complete departure from our Oreo cookie truffles. This one is using a dry cake mix. Now I'm using a red velvet cake mix, and we're going to make a red velvet coated in white chocolate. It looks so holiday-like that you'll just love it. Now I'm going to use a cup of mix to begin with, and I've got another cup in here just in case I need more. I might need up to maybe 1/4 of a cup more. Now a regular cake mix will give you enough to make about 2 batches of this. Now I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Maybe just a little more. And just over 1/4 of a cup of sweetened condensed milk, about 1/4 of a cup and a tablespoon. Now you're skipping a whole step here because you don't have to grind down the cookies. And if it's too wet, we'll add a little more cake mix. If it's too dry, we'll add a little more sweetened condensed milk. Now this is going to be the smallest batch that we have. Of course, like I said, your whole cake mix could double this. Okay, now I just stuck it in a bowl out of my processor bowl just to make sure that I had any little spots of dry cake mix mixed in. And we're using a small scoop again. And this is perfect texture. Okay, they're all set to put in the fridge to harden up. And when we come back, we'll go ahead and melt our chocolates over a double boiler, and one at a time we'll dip them in chocolate and get them decorated. Okay, both our red velvet and our peppermint ones with the golden Oreos are going to be coated in white chocolate. So I have about 2½ cups of white chocolate wafers here, and I have a pot with about 1 inch of water in it, and I'm going to heat it up, and this is going to serve as my double boiler in order to melt the chocolate. Now you can melt it in the microwave. I have problems. I end up having a problem with it seizing up with my microwave. It gets just a little bit too far, gets away from me. This way I don't have to worry about that. Okay, it's all smooth and melted, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my top aside, and I'm going to put down a dish towel just to set the bowl on. I'm going to start with the peppermint ones, and after I dip them, I'm going to put just a little bit of crushed peppermint candy cane on top as a decoration. And I want to do it after I dip them so that it sticks to the topping. I'm just going to use 2 forks. Now, there are special tools you can use. You can use toothpicks, whatever you want. Use spoons. To me, this works just fine. If it dribbles a little bit, that's okay. Put some peppermint on top. That's a big piece. Now, I'm not the best at this, but I get the job done. You don't have to be an expert for it to taste delicious. Now, this is a fairly thin layer of chocolate. If you want to, you can go back after it sets up a little bit and do another layer. In fact, on the red velvet ones, we'll probably do 2 layers. Now I'll start on our red velvet. Okay, I'm going to set these in the fridge again for a few minutes until this layer of chocolate hardens up, and then I'll come back and I'll put another layer on the red velvet. Okay, the chocolate is set. I just went through and broke off some of the excess chocolate off the bottom, and now I'm going to double dip them. Okay, those look a lot better. You could always, like I said, go back and put another layer on, but I don't want to have such a thick layer of chocolate that you break your teeth trying to bite into them either. So we're going to let this be. I'm going to put a little decoration on them after they set. And while they set, we'll go ahead and do the chocolate ones. Now the chocolate that I have left here, I'm going to go ahead and color it with some gel food coloring so that I can use it to decorate both these and the chocolate ones when they're all set up. Okay, now we're going to cover our chocolate Oreo truffles. I'm going to use chocolate chips for it. We're going to go through the same process. So let's go double boiler. I'm just going to go through the same process, dip it, let it drip off, and then scrape along the side. To decorate these, I'm going to come back behind and just sprinkle on top, a little festive sprinkle. Okay, I melted a little more chocolate because I was running low for these last few truffles. Now we'll let those set up in the fridge and they'll be ready to go. And while they're setting up, we'll decorate the red velvet ones just a little bit. I took some of the leftover white that we had chocolate and put some food coloring in it. I used gel coloring. Now I'm just going to put a little spot on the end, and I'm just going to drizzle over these red velvet ones just to decorate them a little bit.